Welcome to Local is Lekker, where we look for local businesses with a lekker story. And today we are visiting Meryl at Meryl's School of Cooking in Kloof. Meryl has been part of the Kloof community for more than 20 years, where she's taught young and old how to improve their cooking. Meryl had to reinvent her business, and she now offers online courses. And I want to challenge you guys. Now that all the restaurants are closed, why don't you and your partner book a course online and cook together?
Hi, I'm Meryl Erasmus from Meryl School of Cooking. Well, I grew up in Cowes Hill with my family, and I always just loved going into the kitchen and cooking. I had a grandfather who bought me little bottles and I had to fill them with fudge, and so I was encouraged all the way. And eventually when I left school, I decided to go and train as a chef. So off I went to the one and only chef school in the area at the time. It was long before the fashion, and it was actually at ML Sultan Technikon. We had hotel school there. And so I did my chef training there, and then I was very privileged to be sent over to England. Well, I didn't actually get sent. The deal was that I could pay my airfare and my board while I was there, and my dad would pay my tuition. And I went and did a finishing off chef school, chef course in London at Leiths, and it was an amazing experience. It was a lot cheaper then, because I think the pound was £1.30, so it wasn't so bad as it is now. It was manageable. Anyway, while I was there, I spent time working, and I worked in wonderful places and met lots of people and travelled and saw Europe and England, so it was a great time. And what I discovered when I was over there is how much I loved South Africa. So I came back and went straight to work in a game reserve, because suddenly it all meant a whole lot to me, and that was another incredible experience. And I think that's one thing chefing can do, is it can get you into all kinds of amazing places. And I fell in love with the bush, and I was there for a while, and then from there I went and worked in the Midlands in a lovely hotel called Hertford, which I think is still around. It's changed owners a bit, but it was also a lovely experience. And then I eventually managed to get work in Durban at a catering company that worked in schools, and I did school catering for a bit. After working for the schools and in a big catering company, I eventually decided to start my own catering business. And it started small. I used to do lunches for doctors and things like that. And as time went by, I had somebody ask me to please teach them how to cook. And that's when the cooking school started. It was very different then though. It was all demonstrations. So I would stand and demonstrate, and everybody would sit in chairs and watch and read their notes and ask questions, and obviously eat all the food at the end. And then the TV shows started to come out, and it became a big thing to want to learn to cook. And that's when people started to ask me to do hands-on courses where they actually do the cooking themselves. So with that, I had to redo my kitchen, have areas for cooking, more stoves, more equipment, and then people would come in and cook here, which was great fun. When I started, I did the demonstration cooking, and I started in my granny cottage, which was in the garden, and it was old-fashioned, had a carpet, had a counter area, and was nothing fancy. But it served the purpose, because everybody was sitting on chairs, and I just needed a small kitchen area. Then with the demand for hands-on cooking, I had to make changes. So I developed my home kitchen into a studio that I could cut off from the house. And at that stage I had little children, so it actually worked quite nicely. When I had courses, I closed the house off, and when I didn't, the children had access to me, and I was there doing my catering work in between the courses, and it actually worked really nicely. Until such time that they grew up and they became teenagers, and then it stopped working very nicely because they made a noise. They didn't like the idea that they were cut off, and it just started getting difficult. So at that stage I got a lady in to help me market my business in a different way. I went back into my garden cottage, and we redid that, and we made it into a really nice studio, and that's where we are now. The beauty of this is it is self-contained. I've got a little garden area in the front, which is a lovely place for moms to sit when kiddies have cooking parties, or if we've had a team build or a group booking, then we set tables in the garden, and that's just such a nice place to sit and relax and to eat. We put lanterns out at night, and it's just works very well. So it's been a great move, and it's more spacious, and it doesn't interfere now with home life. The family can function completely without me bothering them, or they get hungry and I'm in the kitchen. So it's much better, it really is, and it's proved to be the right thing to do. The courses I run are very varied. There's children, there's domestic workers, there's general people who just want to learn. So in normal circumstances, my week is divided with kids extramural courses, and I have a affiliation with Kloof Senior Primary, and twice a week the kids come here for cooking. I do collect them and I take them back. There's lots of kids who are at school all day where the parents are working. So in order to facilitate them and give them the chance to do the cooking, I pop down and give them lifts up and take them back to school. They absolutely love it, and they are a joy to teach. They've learned to use big knives, they're learning to cook meals, and it's actually amazing, and it always amazes me as to what kids are capable of doing if us as adults would just let them. And they love it. For them it's like going home in the afternoon. They come and they get their juice, they cook their food, they pack it all away in their containers, and they go home very proud of what they've done. So I really enjoy them. Tuesday mornings is another highlight of my week. We have domestic workers classes. During those lessons we learn more family food, baking, vegetable cooking, desserts. And I find those courses a whole lot of fun. I really enjoy getting pictures during the week of the cooking that they've done at home. And even though they may be a little nervous when they come to the first lesson, we become friends and keep communicating. They're welcome to phone anytime during the week for help or advice, or if they don't have the correct ingredients. And it's just a wonderful course to be involved in. Then I have evening classes. Every so often I schedule evening classes which people can just book on. We have a Tuscan one, sometimes we have vegetarian or vegan. So there's a variety of those staggered throughout the year. The other enjoyable courses are the group courses and team builds, where the businesses come in and cook together. And I find those so much fun. I often think this is work, and it doesn't feel like work, because it's just it's lovely meeting new people and teaching people new things in an environment that is relaxed, and they have their wine, they cook, they learn things. And so often the big boss doesn't have a clue how to cook, and the lowliest of the office staff knows so much more than the big boss, and it's very interesting to see how the dynamics change in the kitchen. And I think it also shows them at work that everybody has talents, and it just upsets the whole pecking order, which I think is a good thing. And I just enjoy watching it all play out. Another thing I must tell you about Holger is the kiddies courses in the holidays. Those are also a lot of fun. We have them for 3 mornings, little short courses, but we get judges in. We have Cooking Kids boxes specially made up for them to put their food in. And they come and they work in pairs, and we judge, and we have prize giving, and often there's a judge from the area. I try and find people that have local businesses, and they come and tell the kids about their businesses and leave their cards, and obviously that information goes home to the moms, and the kids absolutely love it. They can come back year after year, and I get to know them and I watch them grow, and it's fantastic. So I miss having them around at the moment. It's quiet in here. There's lots of people in the informal areas that have never had formal training, and I do enjoy going out and teaching and uplifting to just inspire, and it just makes those chefs in those far-flung areas feel a little bit invested in. And it just inspires them to learn new things. There's very little access out there to information, as well as things to inspire them to cook different meals, and to take that out to them is something I enjoy. I am at this moment supposed to be out in in Tembe, giving them a helping hand, and it's very sad because I love the bush and I love teaching, and the combination would have been very pleasant, and it's not happening because of lockdown, which is rather sad. Okay, we were in the bush when the whole lockdown thing started to happen, and we got home just in time, and I realized I had come home to nothing. There was no business left. I thought about what I could do and thought maybe just try some online lessons and see how they go. I had no camera. I had a laptop that had a terrible camera. I tested a few lessons with family and friends, and they went okay. I got the hang of Zoom, and I then decided, well, let's put it out there. And I got my father to make me this clever little thing where I eventually managed to track down a little camera, and he put this together for me where I can put it on the food, or I can lift it up and I can talk to people and I can move it around, and if I really need to get up close I can actually do this too. So it's made a huge difference to the lessons. It's not an ugly laptop anymore. It's a proper camera with proper sound, and it works amazingly. People can see what's going on. They can stop and ask questions as we go. It's all interactive. It's fun. It's a social life, which is wonderful because there wasn't much of a social life before this, and it gives people a chance to get together and chat and learn something new. And I think it's helped people through the lockdown time as well, because they keep coming back for more. After researching how to do the courses, I looked into Zoom, and it seemed to be the obvious way to go. It is interactive, so you can ask questions. I cook, and then everybody cooks along on the other side of the screen. They can ask questions as they go. If they are battling with something, they can show me what they're doing so I can see what's going wrong. And the beauty is they're cooking in their own kitchens. They get to eat all the food they've made, which is great. I get to eat all the food I've made, which is also great. I don't have to do dinner too. And the interactive part of it is the best part, because it's like having a course with people physically present, except that they're not, but you can talk and you can socialize and you can chat, and you know there's people all over the world now joining in, which I am absolutely loving. So I've got students in Australia and Belgium and Denmark and the UK and Sweden, and it's wonderful because we interact with people all over the world, and I hear their lockdown stories and what's happening there, and they've said they've thoroughly enjoyed these lessons because it's given them something to do during lockdown, and they've loved it. So I'm very glad that I gave it a go.
While we're here visiting Meryl, I want to learn something from her. Maybe she can teach me knife skills. I've always wanted to be able to chop an onion like this. Meryl, come here. Show me how this thing works. I'm getting a free lesson from her.
You can have a free lesson. This is what I teach everybody before they come in the kitchen. Well, they come in the kitchen, then they learn it, because otherwise we could chop off fingers. Okay. So knife skills are very important. So this is how you chop an onion. I'm going to do half, and then you can do the other half. All right. So when you chop an onion, you always chop this end off first, which is your stalk end. Mm-hmm. And then you cut in half like this, which you do not take that off. You leave that on.
I always take that off.
I know. Everybody tells me I'm doing it wrong, but if you Google on YouTube how to chop an onion, it'll be like this.
And then
take your skin off. It actually is easier to peel your onion once you've chopped it in half like that. So I see people battling to peel the onion, and all they have to do is chop it in half. Right, so you leave that little bit on there.
The hairy bit.
The hairy bit. And it's very important how you hold your fingers. So when you're using a knife, you must hold your fingers like that. And you use your knuckle to guide your knife, so that you see chefs chopping on TV and they just chop, because they know exactly what they're doing without looking. And they know that knuckle there is protecting all these fingers. If you get lazy and you don't stand up straight and you drop your hand, then you actually allowing all these fingers to be in the way of the knife. Mm-hmm. So that's how you keep them safe.
Okay.
Right. So when you chop like this, so you're not actually cutting all the way through there.
Ah, not there.
No.
Okay.
So you keep it attached there to the root. And you just keep going, and you use that, the way you hold your hand to keep your finger safe. Turn your onion around and you do a couple of chops through this way. You can make your onions as fine or as chunky as you want, depending on how many cuts you do. And then you hold your onion like this and you chop down, and you get a nicely chopped onion. Right, you can practice that now.
Okay,
Let's see if you can go as
I think
fast.
you started this way.
That's
But how do I keep this going?
You just do, as practice. That's it. Oh, you're a quick learner.
Doesn't look very straight.
It doesn't matter.
Using the wrong knuckle.
That's it. And then that way.
Don't be a chop.
That's it. And then you just chop it.
But I've got to do this.
You do.
But then all these
You
things
use your
run
two
away.
little fingers on each side to hold that together. Oh, that's not bad for a first go.
I'm going to play this in 2x or 3x or 5x or 10x speed.
Well, you've got to start somewhere. If you go and get a bag of onions and just chop your way through it, you'll be pretty good by the end. There we go. Thank you for doing that for me.
Thank you for my cooking lesson.
Like any good chef, it's great to have a patch where you can just come outside and grab the herbs you need or your lettuce. And I use my garden a lot. I always have little lettuces to put in salads and use as garnishes. I keep herbs. I normally have fresh basil, but that's out of season now. But I always have thyme and oregano, rocket, lots of rocket. I use these little flowers in salads. I've got a patch of strawberries and radishes. It's not in very good condition at the moment with lockdown, but it's still growing things nicely. And I'm forever in here picking herbs to use in my food, and it just helps not to have to go to the shops all the time. Every time you need something, it's growing, so you just come out and get it.
So I got my free lesson, but if you want to win a free lesson, Meryl's kindly offered for us to have a draw, and you can win a free lesson, one of Meryl's online courses during lockdown. And instead of asking a very clever question, we're just going to do this. We're going to get Meryl to draw a card, and you've got to guess which card it is. No, you don't have to take that one.
Okay, I'll take this.
So Meryl's going to draw a card, and you have to guess what card that is.
Not the bird.
Not the bird.
What's on the other side?
It's a lilac-breasted roller, I think.
That is, yes.
And the first correct answer wins a free course.
Free online course.
Free online course,
Free
yeah.
online course, any course they choose out of the program.
And
You're welcome to come on.
before the end of July, you said.
Before the end of July, yes.
So-
Unless lockdown goes on for longer.
Okay.
I wouldn't
So
chance it.
guess what card that is? Answer in the comments below.
Okay, great.
And you've also got an offer for our viewers.
I do. A 20% off your first course booking. We'd love to have you try, because most people that try come back for more. So please,
It's an obvious thing.
please come and try. 20% off your first lesson.
Yeah. So where can they find you online, Meryl?
merylschoolofcooking.co.za. I've got my course program on there and all the information. I've also got a Facebook page and Instagram page. So you're welcome to look on that and follow me on Instagram and have a look at all the delicious things we cook. So Brenda's going to help me today to do an experiment of arancini balls, which is an Italian dish. Okay, so I'll just put this here, and we're just going to put it on low, and it will just get warm. Yes.
So, Meryl, are we allowed to try what we've created here?
Absolutely. And somebody I know made this lovely tomato chili chutney, which I think will go very well with it. So shall we tuck in?
I think so.
Good. Oh, that looks good. Yes, cut. Oh, look, it's delicious. How's that?
There we go. Thanks for having us today and teaching me how to cut onions.
It's a pleasure. You qualify now to attend a live course. It's Meryl and Simon and Neil then, Neil. Okay, and then heat your pan up so it's nice and hot with some oil. Everyone's got their wine. I've got some too.
Good, well done.
So you're not actually cutting all the way through there.
Ah, not there.
No, so you keep it attached there to the root. You just keep going and you use that the way you hold your hand to keep your finger safe. Turn your onion around and you do a couple of chops through this way. You can make your onions as fine or as chunky as you want depending on how many cuts you do. And then you hold your onion like this and you chop down and you get a nicely chopped onion. Right, you can practice that now.